Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have been out for almost 2 months, and the game has definitely sold very, very well. I mean, holy crap, is that Sword and Shield's revenue and it's peaked that in like a couple months? Holy Jesus. And all the new Pokemon designs are very creative and actually very fun and innovative. But their shiny forms, I mean, there's some pretty meh. They're all crap. They all suck. They like 90% of the shinies in this game are actually poo-poo. Which is like, if a majority of the shinies in your game suck, you should probably make your game better. So, me, a 17-year-old kid now with Photoshop and a lot of time on the computer, I decided to make, well, I guess not make, I've decided to fix all of the shiny Pokemon that I think are meh. Now, these are just my personal opinions on what could be changed, and honestly, I think there's some pretty good changes that I've done. Now, let's dive on in. And I guarantee by the end of this video, you're going to think that Game Freak is stupid. And they kind of are, but they're also pretty smart, so it balances out. Also, I've already done videos fixing some other shiny Pokemon, so I'm not going to go over all of them unless there's some big change that I did. So, let's get this out of the way. Starting off with Sprigatito! So Sprigatito shiny isn't bad, it actually looks kind of good. The green becomes slightly darker and it has purpler eyes, and so does the rest of the line, but I think we can make it look way, way, way better. Starting off with this. This is my autumn colored Sprigatito. See, so I made Sprigatito autumn colored because, well, first of all, it's autumn, it's an easy shiny, but also because a red cat looks actually pretty good. There's not really much to say in terms of inspiration except it's an autumn colored Sprigatito. What else do you want me to say? There's really no rule that it follows, but I did kind of want to do a winter themed one where it was white with blue eyes, but I stuck with the autumn colored one because I think it worked better. Floragato is pretty much the same, although it has a bit more orange coloration on it to make it exemplify that autumn fall theme more, because I think it definitely works well, especially with the whole Scarlet, idea for the game, red and then Naranja for orange, and this kind of represents both the game and the color of, well, the school. Masquerade is probably my favorite of the shinies in this line besides Sprigatito. It has orange eyes and definitely has more reddish colors and a light orange for the fur, which I think is probably the best looking colors that you could have done on this. The other thing I'd probably change is making the orange a little bit more red, but I think the orange works pretty good, especially because the whole thing is Naranja. Oranges. Nothing too bad about it. Fuecoco. I love this guy. He's such a dork. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what can you do to make this better? By just switching the colors around. If you don't know, Fuecoco is kind of like this pepper, apple, chicken, crocodile. So originally I wanted to make him a green apple, or a green pepper, but since we already had Skullville and I realized that, wait a second, they never did any yellow peppers in this game. And yellow apples do exist, so yellow Fuecoco, with the red now replacing the one on top instead of being the whole body. Yeah, the colors are switched around, but it's also meant to represent a yellow pepper and a yellow apple. I think it looks pretty good. Nice little gold Fuecoco. Crocolore looks fine. I changed the flames on its head to be a bit more red to replace, the little hair it had before, and its body's a bit more orangish than more yellow. This is probably, again, a very weak shiny compared to... It's definitely not as good as the other shinies of this line, but it is definitely a big improvement than just the small shade of pink that we got. I really like it. Now, Skeledirge, Skeledirge looks like he's about to maul someone. Skeledirge has that complete yellowish coloration that Fuecoco had, and has bits of red and orange along its body. Its flames are much darker, which is not only represented on the bird, but also its eyes. This is supposed to draw out that inner fire in it, and also to represent both the yellow apple and the yellow pepper. I think this looks pretty good, and I'd definitely try and shiny hunt this if I had the chance to. Do I prefer Meowscarada or do I prefer Skeledirge as shinies? I don't really know, but both of them, I think in my opinion, look really good. Now, Quaquaval is kind of an interesting story because number one, I don't really think there's that much we need to change. Quaxly and Quaquador already look really good. The only issue is that Quaquaval looks stupid. There, I said it. Shiny Quaquaval is stupid. So we're going to take a Quaquaval from one of my earlier videos. Boom! Shiny Quaquaval. It substitutes its normal blue for a much darker one and also a hint of green in it. Plus, its overall red and other colorations have become a nice little cyan. More so leaning onto the green part of it to more so represent the water typing. Quaquaval's new shiny is a bit more green and also has different coloration in its overall body. I really like this shiny. It's not really based off of anything per se, I just kind of mixed the colors up. But I'm sure you can find some inspiration for it somewhere. Although if you were to change Quaxley and Quackledores, you'd have to make them more so the green used in this. But I still think it's way better than what we actually got. Do Quaxley and Quackledore shinies need to change to better match this? Yes. But do I think that the shinies work well on their own? Absolutely. So I don't think they really need to be changed that much. Now we're getting to the actual decks here, because this is where things get interesting. First of all, you know how Tauros in the game at shiny looks absolutely poo-poo? Well, now I made it the color of poo-poo. I'm kidding. It looks like regular Tauros. That's what it's supposed to be based off of. I've seen fan-made shinies that make PALDEAN Tauros look a lot like regular Tauros, but I wanted to differentiate it a bit from its normal predecessor. In this, I made the brown a lot darker to represent actual bulls in real life, and also to make it look different than normal Tauros. It's not really that much to say here, but it's a massive overhaul than what I originally did, which was just slightly change the brown on it. I think making it different enough from regular Tauros, but also making it stand out, is a very good change. Much better than just switching the colors around. The other forms aren't too different. The fire form keeps the orange coloration that it had before in the previous video, and also gains a much more brown body. The aqua form also looks really good, and obviously, like before, it keeps the more cyanish colors rather than just the normal blue, but it also keeps that brown coloration across the entire body. Out of the three, I prefer the fire form because it pops out way more thanks to the brown and the orange working together. Tandemaus, 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 Tandemaus. Not only do you have a not good shiny, you also have a not good evolution. But I think we can fix that. I didn't notice until I actually was researching to do this video, but Tandemaus and Maushold wear each other's clothes. One has the pants and one has the shirt. So we need to make the shinies different enough so you can actually see what clothes they're wearing. So, what color are normal kids' toys? Brown. You have little teddy bears, little brown bears, whatever. We can apply that kind of concept over to here. Meet shiny Tandemaus. The light brown makes it pop out way more than it's just typical yellow-ish shirt and pants, and the pants now, and as well as the shirt, are way more pink and pop out at you. It looks like they're wearing actual clothes. The brown and the pink working together make it look like one of those old like Build-A-Bears or kids toys you get as a child to sleep with, which I think should have been the motif instead of just slightly altering the colors on its body, which you can't even tell that much because there's so much white on it. If the white had changed, you would have been able to tell the shiny looked really good, but because the white stays the same, it looks very normal. Making it actually resemble an old toy, as well as having the pink to differentiate it and make it seem like it's wearing clothes, is a much needed change. Maushold follows this with a slightly different form of brown to show that they've matured, and the pink is slightly more red to show that they've now accepted a family, since red is also the color of love. Although it's still more so pink, it does have elements of red and orange thrown into the outfits. I really like the way that this looks, and I like the way that it turned out, and it's much better than just a simple hue swap. Tadbulb. I don't have a problem with Tadbulb's red. I have the problem with its like lightish orangish yellow. Because if you're walking past this thing and you don't know what the shiny looks like, I guarantee you're going to walk right past it. And I probably have walked right past it too, considering I've done like 2 to 3 Tadbulb outbreaks. Since the shiny form of Bellybolt actually resembles its predecessor's form, why not make the shiny form of Tadbulb look like its evolution? Keep the red but switch the orange's coloration to a much more needed green. Not only does this pop out more, but it also resembles a normal frog. This way not only does it resemble a baby tadpole, but it also resembles more cartoonish versions of frogs with the light green versus the dark green. I think these colors look really well on it, and should have just been the shiny to begin with. It wouldn't even have been that hard as long as they just changed the yellow once the orange was changed, but hey, I don't know how they make shiny Pokemon. I think making it look like a simple frog is much better than just changing the orange to red. Ooh, woe is me. Wattrel and Kilowattrel. Honestly, you can't even tell that these things are shiny unless you're paying very close attention. So, what do? I just made it red. Honestly, you can make this work for a lot of different colors. You could have made it green, blue, purple. I don't care. I also made the eyes slightly more yellow to bring out that electric typing, but red was honestly just kind of the best looking color on it. That also applies to Kilowattrel as well. Kilowattrel, although being red, also looks more pinkish and magenta-like because obviously there's a thing called purple lightning. But I didn't want it to just be simply purple because I didn't think that would look as good. So we just stuck for a little pinkish red, because also those are the color of birds. You can also change the colors up to make them look way better, but in my honest opinion, I think the red looks good. Scovillain. The orange and yellow peppers definitely bring out more of, peppers in general instead of just being a simple, oh, he has blue pants and a yellow shirt, look at him. No. I changed the blue back to a green, but a different green to make it stand out more, and the yellow is now more of an orange because it matches both the colors of the orange and the yellow, sort of mixed together in a small way. Scovillain looks like a Pokemon that needs to evolve again. He looks like he'd have a third form where he has like a third head and like a dragon tail. He'd be like a Hydreigon knockoff. So because they're not actually going to do that, I say we just make the shiny orange and yellow and keep the green as a reminder to what it originally used to look like. It also being a plant and all. Flittle and Esparta. I think I said that right. The problem with Flittle and Esparta is not the fact that the shinies look bad, it's that they don't match. Flittle has this weird green on it, and its shiny form completely gets rid of that green. And also the brown looks like chocolate, and the original form doesn't even have chocolate on it. So, I fixed it. All I did was swap the yellow for a lighter blue. That way you could actually tell that it was shiny, instead of it just being a slightly different green and brown on the bottom. It also made the purple a slight more pinkish. Although the colors seem random, they blend together well, and that's especially apparent in the shiny form of its evolution. Esparta's definitely way more different than it originally did, but also matches more. The green is prominent, the blue is prominent, and the black is just a slightly bit more green. The purple is also replaced with the more pinkish parts that I told you earlier that look slightly red, but more so pinkish. This also makes it resemble more so of a regular ostrich than just being, you know, a slightly different hue change on the feathers. And I think if it resembled more so of a regular ostrich, it would have looked pretty good. Say it with me, guys. Flamigo looks mid. Like, literally, it looks mid. Not only is its shiny form just a paler version of the original color, but it looks so much like a normal flamingo. But when I was doing a video, I mentioned something. Flamingo. Flamigo. Flamingo. What color are mangoes? Orange. Is there a thing called orange flamingos? So yeah, orange flamingos are real, so why isn't the shiny an orange flamingo? I wanted to differentiate more so from the typical reds that I've been doing this whole time, so I really wanted to do a more yellowish orange. Yellow orange definitely makes it look way more different than just a simple pale. The feet also change color and the eyes are much more yellow, obviously to differentiate it more so from regular Flamigo. I think the orange looks very good on it, and also brings out more of that fighting typing that it has. But honestly, orange flamingos do exist, and they deserve a bit of representation too, you know? I mean, maybe there's white flamingos, I don't know. But I think the orange, you know, Flamigo little thing makes it look really cool and also kind of funny. It's like a noodle. It's like strips of orange. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Tinkaton is a fun Pokemon, but its shiny forms don't really change much. I mean, it's cool if you think about it that it has the shiny form of a Corviknight, since Corviknight has like a light brownish shiny. And also because, you know, metal, rust, and also copper. Very smart. But the only problem is that the main body doesn't change. So if you're not careful, you might walk by one of these things and you won't even notice until you actually look at it and be like, is that shiny? That might be shiny, guys. So, to fix this, let's make the entire line shiny blue. Tinkatink is a good example of this. The blue and the orange work well because there's so much orange actually there. In the other forms, it's not so present, but here, it's very present and it makes the colors pop out because they're vibrant. Tinkatuff works slightly less well, but the blue still manages to keep itself prominent, although it doesn't look as good as its original form. Personally, I think I prefer Tinkatink over the entire line. And obviously, as you can tell, it's blue. Like, what were you expecting? I think it works well on Tinkatink, as I mentioned before, but this is a nice change. Obviously, it's going to pop out way more than just being a simple, it's holding an orange hammer. Because think about it this way, it's a rarer shiny because it's holding a shiny hammer, and it's shiny. It's like a double shiny. Think about it, guys. 2 Pokemon in 1. Two for one deal. But yeah, I really like this. Although, again, I still much prefer Tinkatuff. But again, I still prefer Tinkatink. Alright, let's get this straight. Palafin is a cool Pokemon. That is such a cool creative concept. It's probably one of the smartest Pokemon they've ever come up with. But, let's be real for a second. Its shiny form isn't bad. It just doesn't change enough. Although it changes the major coloration on the body, it doesn't really change much besides, you know, the internal chest area, and that's kind of it. To help it better match with the rest of its line, this is what I think should be Shiny Palafin. Shiny Palafin doesn't look bad, but it could be way better. It now more so resembles an orca, a famous member of the dolphin family that doesn't actually have a Pokemon yet, and I changed the blue on it to be a light pinkish purple to better represent the other forms of its evolutionary line, since those shiny forms are pinkish purple. I kept the red the same because the red was a big part of its overall design and premise because of the heart, and you can't really make a heart a different color without it looking kind of weird. Although I did change the actual thing surrounding the heart to be a more darker purple. Not only does it resemble an orca, but it also kind of looks like an evil version of Palafin. You know, the black and the dark purple. So not only does it work as an orca, but also works as kind of a doppelganger for actual Palafin, which I think is pretty smart. Frigibax. Friggy. The line itself is disappointing to say the least. So to fix this, I made Frigibax black with blue eyes. Now, if you don't get the reference, you will when we go to the later evolutions, and you'll see why this thing is inspired by. And also the red is kind of just because, well, it's red. There's aspects of this creature that can also be red, but it's sort of just there as a simple color change. Can you tell what it's based off of now with the black body, blue eyes, and red claws to sort of represent like blood and rage and anger? No? You can't? Oh. Well, maybe you'll know when we go to its final form, Baxcalibur. Yes, it's Godzilla. I know that the sudden change of the red to a blue seems kind of weird, but now he's not such a kid anymore. He's now evolved. He's not such a kid anymore. He's evolved, he's mature, and the red changes to a blue, as with Godzilla, blue covers his body when he's attacking. I think this shiny works leagues better than a simple, oh, look at me, I'm just cyaner. Now, not only is he black, the fin on his back is more white, and he has blue on his body to further represent that not only is he based off of Godzilla, but he's also partially ice type. This was a missed opportunity that I think that they should have done, considering that it was obviously based off of Godzilla. Does it look cool as a Pokemon? Yes. Does it shiny suck? Also yes. Should this have been what it was originally? Absolutely.